Hello, guys. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Happy new month. Good evening, everybody. As you come in, please let me know what city and state you're watching from or what country you're watching from. Go ahead and leave that in the comments. I will shout you out as you guys come in. Come on into the room. I have a very special guest today. So, guys, we are excited. Come on into the room. While you guys are putting your city and state, I'm just looking here just to make sure it is coming up on YouTube and Facebook here. I'm live from YouTube as well as my medical assistant with Miss K Facebook page, as well as my personal page. So I'm just checking everything from my end, making sure it's all good. Let me turn that to public so that can be shared. Come on in. Hey, Susanna. Susanna's watching from Fairfax, Virginia. Susanna, I was just telling Dr. Francis how excited you are. Come on into the room, guys. Let me know where you're watching from. Leave your city and state. I have a very special guest tonight, guys. But before we get into that, if anybody is here watching for the first time, I'm going to introduce myself to you guys as you are continuing to put your city and state in the chat. Let me remove this actually. Let me show you who I am really quickly. I'm going to introduce myself to you guys. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kendra. I've been an MA since 2004, and I've been an MA instructor since 2011. But my number one job is being a mommy. I am a mother. My daughter is 19 years old. I am also an author and entrepreneur. So I've written 4 books, currently working on 5 and 6 right now. And I actually help other medical assistants start their businesses as well. These are some of the products you guys know. Those of you that have been following me for a long time, you guys have been buying my t-shirts, buying my necklace and all of that. So I also sell some medical assistant, paraphernalia. And I also help medical assistants pass certification. So at marefreshercourse.com, this is where I have an online study guide for you guys that are preparing to take your certification. I have lessons and quizzes in this course. I've had I don't want to say 100% pass rate because I'm not for sure, but everybody that has been getting my course for the most part have been passing their certification. And it's also for people who have been out of school for a long time and just need a refresher. So that's marefreshercourse.com. Okay. So let me come back to the screen, guys, so we can get into what we're going to get into tonight with Dr. Francis here. I am going to bring him up in just a moment. But first, let me show you guys. Actually, let me bring him up first because I want to make sure he's able to see this video. Let me actually bring him up first. Hi, Dr. Francis.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, Dr. Francis. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm doing fine. I see you doing well as well.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you in here tonight. I have been telling everybody that you're going to come on. Everybody has been so excited. Hi, Sereneo from London. I want to practice my nursing. Okay, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to some questions. Wow. Okay, from London. All right. So, Dr. Francis, before you introduce yourself, I want to show you a quick video, a quick bio video that I did. Hopefully I'm completely accurate in it, but I wanted to surprise you with this. So I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. Okay, so let me go here. Okay.
Is a doctor and he is some big performer. Ladies and gentlemen, Cleve Francis.
How many doctors do you know who are not only accomplished in medicine, but also made history as a country music star? Well, I had the pleasure of working alongside one for several years, and it is truly an honor to introduce him to you all. Dr. Cleve Francis Jr. was born on April 22, 1945 in Jennings, Louisiana, during a time when the South was completely segregated. He graduated from Jefferson Davis High School and went on to attend Southern University, one of the only 2 colleges at the time that African Americans could attend. It was in college that his path took a turn. After encountering a Black doctor for the very first time, he changed his major to pre-med biology. He earned his graduate degree from the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, and it was in Williamsburg where he began performing at local venues, although he had been playing the guitar since he was 9 years old. Dr. Francis received his medical degree from the Medical College of Virginia in 1973 and completed his internship and residency at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where he became the first Black cardiology fellow. Determined and visionary, Dr. Francis opened up his very own cardiology practice, Mount Vernon Cardiology and Associates, and actually stepped away from his medical career for 3 years to pursue his musical career. After 3 years of recording albums and touring all over the country and internationally, Dr. Francis returned back to his cardiology practice, where he would serve patients for another 25 years until he retired in 2021. While he has since retired from seeing patients, he continues to lead. He's the co-chair of the Inova Heart and Vascular Institute's Anti-Racism and Equity Task Force. His story is one of excellence, resilience, and breaking barriers in both medicine and music. Please join me in welcoming the remarkable Dr. Cleve Francis.
Dr. Francis.
You got to go into a production here. You did an excellent job. Yeah. Well, this is what's left of me after all of that.
So once again, Dr. Francis, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, I am Dr. Cleve Francis. I was formerly Kendra's boss at one point. I hired her into our practice, Mount Vernon Cardiologist Associate. But I come from the state of Louisiana, she has told you, and I came from poverty and went to college, went to graduate school, got into medical school, and set up my own practice later. And then from a childhood passion, I went into music. Lucky enough to be recognized by the president of Capitol Records, who signed me to a music label. And I went away for 3 years and performed, and then came back to the practice. So I'm retired now and writing books and doing lectures and appearing on Kendra's podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. So, we don't hear many doctors who are also performers. I think the only doctor, famous doctor that we know of is Dr. Ken Jeong. Are you familiar with him from The Hangover? The movie The Hangover?
Yes. He's a movie star, right?
Yeah. And he's also a doctor. Did you know that about him?
Yeah, he went to Duke University and he became an actor and a comedian. So yeah, some of us make
it. Listen, I brag on you every chance I get, Dr. Francis. I promise you, since I started working. And so guys, as Dr. Francis mentioned, he was my boss. I worked with Dr. Francis for several years. I worked at the practice that he started, Mount Vernon Cardiology. And when I found out that he was also a famous country music singer, I was bragging to everybody, and I still to this day brag on you. I wanted to ask you, Dr. Francis, what was it that made you get into? I remember seeing a story, seeing an interview of you, and you shared the story about how you became a doctor once you encountered a Black doctor for the first time, and that showed you that you could become a doctor. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then what made you specifically want to go in cardiology?
Well, that's a loaded question there, but I didn't see very many doctors when I grew up in Louisiana. Matter of fact, I hadn't seen a doctor my whole childhood. I mean, it was that segregated. But when I got to Southern University, I got a cold, flu or something, and I went to the infirmary. And they said, the doctor will be with you in a second. I had no idea. And this Black doctor shows up, he was from Howard University, I remember. And I was just totally stunned. I couldn't believe it. And I guess I went home, and the next day I changed my major to pre-medical biology. And it was about 10 years after that encounter that I walked across the stage at the Medical College of Virginia to receive my MD degree. So I was very impressed with this guy.
That was amazing to me when I heard that, Dr. Francis, because I think a lot of us, we take it for granted that we can just go to school and become what we want to be today. And when I listen to stories like yours, it reminds me that it wasn't always this way. I even like hearing your story of like being one of the only, Black children at certain schools, or, the only, or one of the only two. And that was so amazing to me that was your first time, whereas I've been seeing Black doctors all my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
I
think,
had not. Yes.
yeah. And then you had not. And so that was just amazing to hear that. And then what made you get into like wanted to specialize in cardiology specifically?
Well, that developed later when I went to medical school. I did some cardiology rotations, and I just like cardiology deals with, it's a time sensitive subspecialty. Things happen real quick, and you can make a decision in 3 minutes or 2 minutes that will have somebody living for the next 50 years. So I like that edge, and it's you have to be quick on your feet and quick thinking, and you have to be right most of the time. So that's my personality. So
Yeah, you gotta be right. Right.
gotta be right.
Yeah. I enjoy working in cardiology. When I first started working with you, that was my first time working in cardiology. I had worked in family practice, I had worked in pediatrics, just everywhere. And I actually struggled with learning the heart when I was in school. But once I started working at MVCA, I remember Bonnie, our nurse Bonnie,
Yes,
she
yes.
would do EKG classes with us. And
Yes.
that actually helped me understand more, even though as MAs, we didn't read the EKGs, but it was nice to be able to recognize certain, arrhythmias without having the result printout on the EKG like it does. She taught us how to read, atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, and things like that. And shout out to Susanna, because Susanna was the nurse manager at the time and she hired me. So shout out Susanna.
Exactly. Well, you had a lot of probably curiosity, and so it's on the person himself. You can do that and not have any desire to learn what the EKGs look like. Just take them. But that's why you're successful, because you always had that other curiosity, and that's what I like with people that I hire, that they are seeking another level of understanding. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I was going to ask that a little later, but now that we're talking about it, when it comes to people that you hire, when it comes to MAs, I know once Anova acquired the practice, you guys didn't really have as much hands-on when it came to hiring. But when we were MVCA, like what were some of the things that you would look for in a MA specifically, and that you would still look for today?
Well, when you hire an MA, and I think it's very important for people in this profession, you are part of the team. You're not just an MA, like you do something separate, but you're part of the team. You're sometimes the first person that the patient sees when they come to the office, the introduction to the practice. So I expect people to be on my team to represent me, and I represent you, and taking care of this patient and to be nice to the patient. So I think that's what I look for, and it's it's doable. I mean, you just have to like people. They come in, be nice to the people. They will be nice to you. So yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like people. That's one thing that I stress on this channel, Dr. Francis, on this channel, as well as with my students. I teach medical. Well, I'm back full time right now at Anova, but I'm still teaching. I haven't had a class in the last 2 semesters, but I'll pick up another class in the evening. So I'm still teaching though. But that's one of the things that I stress with my students, is that on the first day of class, I ask them, what made you want to get into the medical field? When they tell me, oh, my mother made me come, or I just want to do it for the money, I already know that they don't have the right attitude. But when they tell me I love to help people, or I love people, I love the medical field, I'm like, this is the type of heart that you have to have, because you're going to be dealing with sick people. You're going to be dealing with people who are nervous and sometimes even angry, because not even anything personal, but just because they're afraid or just because they are in pain. And you have to have empathy. And empathy is one of those things that, you either have it or you don't,
It takes empathy. And like you mentioned, you asked me the other day offline about, what about taking care of patients related to my music? But
Mm-hmm.
I look at every patient as a story, like I'm a storyteller in my music. Every patient has a story. So, and it's up to us to find out what that story is, and they came to us because of a disease process, but it's attached to a story. So
Mm-hmm.
I always love sitting down with people and finding about their families, where they come from, where they're going. And that always helps us to treat them, to know more about them, and we can treat them better.
That's one thing I do remember with you, Dr. Francis. Like your patients loved you because you would spend time with them. And I'll be honest with you, it was sometimes we'd be like, okay, we know he's gonna be in there for a while with them. Like we gotta schedule them at the end of the day because he's gonna be in there for a while. Like we already knew. So on the patient side, I know that made them feel good though, because they felt seen.
Well, you have to pay attention to time, and because if you're too long in with one patient, you make another patient late. But my thing was, once I'm in the room with you, I will spend as much time as I need to solve this problem, or we can work it out. So some patients I could spend 5 minutes, another one I have to spend 20 minutes with too.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was like an old friend visiting, and then once you develop a core of patients, they take care of themselves, but they also will report anything to you that they need to. And I always enjoyed patient care.
Yeah. Hi, Bernice. Bernice said that's so good to hear. Speaking of MAs being on the team, I was going to ask you this. So I think I shared this with you when we talked offline, but I can't remember. But and this is funny. So this, like, I'm not picking on him. This was funny. It was a couple staff members that were kind of new, and they were afraid to go ask Dr. Smith a question. And they were like, Kendra, can you go ask Dr. Smith this? Like they were afraid to ask him. And I've noticed that with new staff in general, and also with new MAs, like they're afraid. Like doctors are like this mystical being, right? We have respect for you guys because you save lives, but they have this reverence for you that makes them afraid to talk to you. And I remember telling them, I said, listen, I remember being afraid to talk to the doctors. I said, but Dr. Smith is nice. You can go talk to him. I said, you could ask him a question. But what would you say about that? Like new MAs or just MAs in general that are afraid to go and like they're intimidated, to go and talk to the providers.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But when I hired people, I got to know who they were, and in the lunch hour, in the break room, find out about their families. So you want to become part of that team, but if something comes up, I think you just walk up to the doctor and ask a question. I always tried to make the first move toward the new employee. I'm available here. You ask me anything you want, blah blah blah. And some doctors are a little bit stiff, upper lip on that thing. Yeah. They don't seem as friendly. But I think if you just, you're part of the team. I mean, the doctor is not going to weigh the patient and get the patient ready when he walks in, everything's set up. So you're a part of the team, so you should not be intimidated.
Thank you for Thank you for sharing that. That's so important coming from the doctor. And speaking of you being, friendly and being a family, I want to show you this. I didn't plan on showing this just yet, but I just want to kind of show you this really quickly to see if you remember this picture. Let me share my screen one more time.
What pictures do you have? I don't know.
What screen is this? Let me see. Okay, so it's my Google screen. Okay, let me share this really quickly, and I want to see if you remember this. You remember that?
Oh, that's your daughter. Yes.
Yes, you remember.
Where is she now? She's in college?
Yeah, she's in college. So she's 19 now.
Oh,
but
my God.
This was when, this was before Anova took over. This was when me and Marilyn and we would have our, we couldn't get a babysitter. We would stash our kids in one of the rooms. Yeah.
Yeah. That was our family. I'm sure she's doing quite well. What is she majoring in?
So she wants to do forensic science, but she's still kind of like you know, on the fence about it. She want to be the person on the crime scene that's you know, solving the crime. So we'll see.
She's got a great personality. She should, you know, there's no shyness in that kid. So
yeah. I just wanted to show that because I do miss that part of the practice. I miss us being a family, you know.
Yeah, you know, the new way people practice now, it's very distant, but it was private practice, and we tried to come across as a family. I think you can still do a lot of that stuff now. It's a little bit more difficult, but it depends on, you know, the office manager, the doctors there. So to still operate as a unit. That's the only way people can feel comfortable. If you're part of that unit, you know, you're as important as I am in taking care of people.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. MAs, I want you to hear that. Dr. Francis just said that you are just as important as he is. And I want you guys to understand that, like Dr. Francis said, you know, we're getting the rooms ready for and we're getting the patients ready. And I want you guys to really know your value in this field. I know there's a lot of people that, you know, I don't know if you have ever heard of Dr. Francis, but there's a lot of people who kind of downplay medical assistants and even CNAs. And one of the things that I wanted people to understand is that we all play a role, you know.
Yeah, you're part of the team. You know, the other day I was over at the hospital for another reason, and I saw one of the transporters who, while I was at Mount Vernon, who transferred patients from, you know, the 6th floor to radiology. And this woman was now one of the head CT techs at the hospital.
Wow.
So, you know, one of the things that I think when you come in as a medical assistant, you enter the medical profession, that's a platform. You don't have to stay there. I mean, it's an honorable profession if you want to, but you don't have to stay there. But you're exposed to everything and exposed to educational opportunities. And you can leave that position, become a nurse, PA, or even a physician. I've had people that started out and became physicians. So look at it as a great opportunity, you know, as an entry point into the medical field, and you don't have to stop there. But you have to do a good job while you're there.
Yes, please do a good job. What's something, Dr. Francis, what's something that you wish more medical assistants knew? Like from the doctor's perspective, what's something you wish we knew?
Well, it sounds like it's all psychological. It's like you're part of the team. I mean, that's the most important thing you can do. I mean, you're as important as the doctor is to the care of that patient, and you will probably spend more time with the patient than the doctor will spend with the patient. But each segment is so important to the care of that patient, and you might be on the phone with this patient later, call back to see how the medication is doing, or make the next appointment. It's like I say, from the front desk, they'll all the way back to the doctor, whatever. This is one team, and the more you can look at it that way, the better you'll feel.
One team, one goal to deliver quality patient care.
Yes.
Honestly, she's one of the moderators here on YouTube. She said that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become an MA and transition to PA. And we have a few young medical assistants here today that's on a team today that are actually going to become a PA. And I get a lot of students. I get some students that are like fresh out of high school, and they want to become a medical assistant and go to medical school and become a doctor. So they are really using this as a stepping stone. And I have a friend who we started as MAs together. I had her on the channel a few months ago. We started as MAs together. She went in, you know, to become an RN, and then she became a nurse practitioner. So she is seeing patients now. And I told her, I said, well, I can come work for you now. But she tried to get me into nursing. And I'll say this for myself, Dr. Francis, for me, I've always been more business minded. And I do have a degree in psychology. So I said, if I ever went back to school, it would be to further that, if anything. But for me, I've always been more on the business side of things and teaching. So for me, I just always felt like, okay, I didn't want to become a nurse. I wanted to either do what I'm doing teaching, the business side of things, because I have other things. I'm not even going to list it, Dr. Francis, because I don't want to overwhelm you or anybody else. But I have several things that I do, and then, like I said, the psychology. I would go more into that. And I want to say something here to Sashika, because she said I want him to be my cardiologist.
Yeah. But I think that people, I have to shout out to you though, but people should follow your example. I mean, it doesn't matter what you are. I mean, your goals are set. They're higher, than most people, and that's what got me out of poverty in Louisiana. I was always seeking to become something else. I'm not gonna stick around here pruning trees and washing cars and and mowing lawns. I mean, and so when I saw that doctor, I said, I'm jumping on this ship, and no matter what it is. So, but it's an honor, you're in an honorable profession. You're taking it on a business like teaching. That's a whole different level. But I don't expect people to stay in that capacity. You've got to use this as a platform, to your future. And you need to enjoy life. Try to enjoy every day of it. Meeting people. Being exposed to new ideas. That's the way I always looked at it. So that's kind of where I am now today with my life. I've enjoyed every day of it.
And speaking of coming from poverty, Dr. Francis, when I've watched like some of your past interviews, even though you're older than me, I work for you. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you, because when I hear your story and like what you came through, like what you went through, and then what you pushed through, like I'm so proud of you, because I remember hearing a story, you were a cardiologist, and they called security, they called the police on you thinking that you were trespassing, and you're trying to treat your patients. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that, like what you experienced at George Washington?
Well, no, it actually was at Mount Vernon Hospital when I first came.
That's
cool. I was the first. I actually was the first Black cardiologist in the Inova health system. So, people had not seen a cardiologist, but I got called in the middle of the night, so I just threw on some jeans and a shirt and ran to the hospital and ran into the X-ray department to check the X-rays out. And a security guard just saw somebody go into the hospital, and he couldn't find me because I had come out to another door. And so he had called the police, Fairfax County Police, by the time I got to the elevator. So I just walked up and said, I'm Dr. Cleve Francis, Jr., the new cardiologist, and just pressed the elevator and went upstairs. But it was just that odd. But I enjoyed being a pioneer. I look at it now, somebody had to be the first one. I don't expect this to ever happen again, because we don't have to live that kind of world. But I thought laying the groundwork, proving that I could keep my community alive. I was in the middle of the night, I was in the ER, and for the next guy would come through, would not have it as a harder time. And I did that through all the schools that I attended. I was the one of two Black medical students at MCV. The only Black intern at George Washington University. But now place is cluttered with people, of all colors. But somebody had to be the pioneer to go through and let people know it was going to be all right. There's others coming, and it wasn't all pleasant for us. But I had a ball. I had my music. I had my science, and I was in control of my own situation.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. I listened to, it was one interview in particular. It was the one you did with Inova a few years ago. I was mad and I was sad. I was literally in tears listening to it. I was so mad, Dr. Francis, but I just was so proud. That's why I say I always talk about you to people, because I'm proud to have a doctor that's not only a doctor, but he's a famous country singer too. So we got to get into that. I am so proud. Okay, let's get into that. So I know you've been playing the guitar since you were 9. So can we talk about that a little bit, about how you got into music?
Yeah, I came from Southwest Louisiana, and that part of the country is like gospel, jazz, blues, zydeco, country, Cajun music. So I grew up around music all my life, and I was fascinated with the guitar. And we couldn't afford one, so my mother saved quarters for a year in a jar
Wow.
to make a down payment on a $25 Sears and Roebuck guitar, which she got when I was 9 years old. And she said that if I didn't keep my studies up, she put it in the attic. So, that's why I kept studying. But when I got to Southern University, one of my professors said, "You've come to this university to get something from us, but what did you bring us?" So I said, "Well, I play the guitar." So I went to his office and played the guitar. Well, he canceled all of his appointments and got a tape recorder, and I was in there all day. He said, "You're singing folk music." So this was a good thing for me. It sort of vetted me. I was just playing my guitar for myself. I wasn't playing for people. But when I got to the College of William and Mary, the folk area had just bloomed. So here I'm with my guitar in these coffee houses. I became quite famous at William and Mary's and did a concert at Phi Beta Kappa Hall over there for about 500 people. So then my next stop was medical school. I didn't play very much. And so when I set up my own practice years later, I kept playing, and I made a video called Love Light, which people can go on YouTube and see. And the president of Capitol Records saw that and sent me an airline ticket to Nashville and signed me up at his kitchen table. So then here I'm faced with, I said, what do I do with a major label recording? So I decided to go, this adventurous me. I decided to put my practice on hold, leave it to these other guys to practice. So I spent 3 years traveling all around the United States. We went to England, Scotland,
Wow.
U.S. Virgin Islands, and performed. And I did that for 3 years, made some records and videos that you all can see on YouTube. And at the end of 3 years, came back and practiced another 30 years,
Listen, I just want to point out that this is not a doctor who happens to also play the guitar, okay? This is a doctor who is also a famous country singer as well, with videos and everything. Albums, like I looked up some of your albums. Walk In, I remember that one. The album, was it Paradise? It was
Tourist in Paradise.
Okay, Tourist in Paradise, and
Yeah, it was on Capitol Records. But actually, which brings, I'm actually writing a book. So people said, you need to write a book about all this stuff. So the Country Music Hall of Fame and the University of Illinois Press will be publishing my memoir next spring. So I've already written the book, has been edited, and we're still working on putting it together. But in the spring of next year, the book will be out. It's called Beyond the Weeping Willow: A Heart's Odyssey Through Country Music, Medicine, and History. So it covers the first 49 years of my life in quite detail. So it's a memoir, so it's in first person. So I hope people will get that book and come back on your show when my book
and promote. Oh yeah, we definitely going to have you back next year when you promote it, definitely. And it's going to be a movie too. It has to be a movie. Once I heard your story and like the things you went through as a kid and like a teenager, and even once you became a doctor, like that has to be a movie. Like that perseverance, that has to be a movie. Like there's no way. I kind of just been asking you questions. I haven't even really been asking you much from here. But one thing I did want to ask you about was, since we are talking about medical assistants, I wanted to know, and me aside, you don't have to feel like you have to say me because we're talking, but I wanted to know if you've ever worked with a medical assistant who left a lasting impression on you, and what was different about them.
Well, it probably have to be you, so I don't know. I can't think of anybody that's done as much as you've done. So, but the rest of the medical system, like I said, I looked at them as part of the team. They were put on committees. They were we had a really nice thing at Mount Vernon Cardiology. They were on committees. They made decisions about the way the office is run. So, that's just the way, I looked at it. And I said, you're probably at the peak of all that because you're an unusual person and you just got some goals and not everybody's a Kendra, but I've been impressed with most medical assistants, and they it's an entry position, but it's entry to the whole medical industry.
Is limitless. It's
Yeah.
literally limitless. That's what I
Yeah.
tell people. They're always like, Miss K, what should I do? I'm like, you got to figure out what you want to do, but there's so many things you can do. You can, if you want to be and eventually become an office manager, you know what I mean? If you want to become, as we mentioned, a nurse practitioner or PA, it is limitless. Even, I don't know if you remember when I started my first business in the practice, I became the CPR first aid instructor. I started a CPR business.
Exactly.
And I started doing the training. So I even tell them about that. Everybody around you needs to be certified. So that's the best way, if you want to start a business and you're thinking about how you can use your skills, become a CPR first aid instructor. Between the staff and all of you guys, the doctors, all 10 of y'all, I was making some good money. And I was doing everybody in the building. Everybody in the building was calling me too. I was making some good money back then.
And you know what? One thing I want to say though, when you work somewhere, somebody's always looking at you. Somebody's always serving you. So, when we get in a room and we're talking about advancement and stuff, like people will notice people who showed some leadership and like that. So you do as good a job as you can do, and there's always somebody watching. You don't have to, you're right. Do your job right. Somebody's going to take you to that next level. So that's my advice: just do a great job. Be a nice person, nice smile on your face, and that goes a million miles.
I want to shout out a couple of people here that's watching. We got Marilyn watching here. Oh, guys, let me know if you guys happen to have any questions. Go ahead and put it in the chat. If you have any questions for Dr. Francis, I got them for a little while longer. I don't want to hold you too long, Dr. Francis, but I'm putting the link also. If anybody wants to call in, I'm putting that in the chat as well. If you want to call in and say something or ask a question, I'm linking that really quickly as well. So if anybody has a question or something you want to say to Dr. Francis, I just sent that link there. What would you say, Dr. Francis?
We have to take some questions, yes.
Yeah, go ahead and put questions if you have them or come on live. Oh, Brittany. Okay, so we got Dr. Francis. Listen, we got Marilyn watching. Okay, she said a movie would be amazing. And look who else is watching. Look at Brittany.
Wow,
look at Brittany.
Brittany's a good example. Brittany came to work. She became, one of the electrophysiology techs. I mean, you can go all kind of places. I mean, and she's still there. A wonderful job.
Yes, when I found out that Brittany was like leaving, I think she's still with Inova, but when I found out she was leaving like the team, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a loss. Like I just remember Brittany doing so much.
Well, that's the kind of people we hired over there, people that's going somewhere. So,
I want to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I also wanted to show that there's a couple of slides that we had.
Oh yes,
whenever you get, I just wanted, but let's take some more questions.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
Good to hear from all my good friends there.
Honestly says I'd like to hear his music. So. Somebody came on to say something. Hi, honestly, let me
tell them.
Can I do you want to be on camera or just audio only? Are you okay being on camera or audio only?
Hello.
It's nice to meet you. It was really nice to hear your story, Dr. Francis. And thank you for paving the way. I can honestly say I've worked at 2 companies in tech where I was the only spec. And it was very weird. I couldn't do it. I applaud you and for all the people who are able to have that strength, because it does take some strength, even if people don't know that they're being kind of weird towards you. You know what I mean? is absolutely amazing. So one other question that I have for you, Dr. Francis, is do you feel like you went to your jazz as a way to kind of cope? Because I know that working in healthcare and like people with social work, but when you're like directly working with people, you can see how it affects their lives and their psyche and things like that. Did you turn to your music as a way to cope, to help you to deal with people maybe passing away and seeing people who you've grown closer to over the years get sick and things like that? I know it's hard to be in this industry.
Well, I wasn't using medicine as a therapeutic uh, modality toward taking care of patients, but it was mainly for me.
Mhm.
You know, I was, I'm a musician and also a scientist, so I use both of these things to, get through life when one's busy, the other one's not. And so, it was never a complete low for me. Things were tough in
Mhm.
medicine. It was easy to play music, but I think having a balanced life is pretty good to help you get through the stress and avoid burnout. I'm not suggesting people try to do two professions. I mean, most people don't. It's not an easy thing to do, but since I started when I was young, this became just part of me. But I think having something else, reading, art, music in your life, exercise, other than just out, outright working all the time, will give you some longevity. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I
Thank you, honestly.
thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
so
I
much.
don't know how to get down, so you have
Okay,
to
I
take
just
me.
got to remove you. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And Terry says that I went to YouTube to listen to his music and watch some of his interviews. Awesome. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, Dr. Prince. I don't see any other. I just see people shouting you out. Oh, there's a question from Marilyn. She said,
Okay.
"What are some qualities that you look for in physicians when you have?" Oh, that's a good one, Marilyn. She said that you look for in physicians when you hire them to be a part of your
Well,
practice.
when I was hiring people, I look for doctors who were not arrogant, and so all my doctors were not arrogant. That are hired because I think that's a very dangerous thing. You always have to know that because the field of medicine and especially cardiology is so vast and so complicated. It's always something that you don't know. And even the smartest guy in the world, you don't know. And I was looking for that guy who was going to ask somebody else, to help. And as I always did, I always, presented a tough case to my colleague to see if there was another option. But when you deal with people who are very bright and there's no option, I think it's a dangerous situation. So that's what I look for. I look for empathy and a non-arrogant employee. To me, that's golden in medicine.
That was a really good question, Marilyn. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad she asked that because I was thinking about that somewhat like in the beginning when you got started. And I love our providers. Like when I watched that interview with the Nova of you, and it was a picture that came up, and I included it in my video too of you, Dr. Reddy, Dr. Rajan, Dr. Rosenblatt. I got emotional when I saw it because it flashed me back to those years that I was working at MVCA, and it was just such like a family. And I just remember like Dr. Park, he wasn't there yet in that picture, but I just remember like talking to him, like Dr. Park was my bestie in my head. I promise you, in my head, he was my bestie. I was so excited to come back and see him. Even like Dr. Rosenblatt, he and I would sit back there and eat lunch. If I had Khalid there, he would be sitting there talking to her. And I just love the group of providers that you have because they were all willing to ask questions. They all were willing to, to answer questions, I should say, answer questions. Like when I would see something like maybe Dr. Besh, for an example, I would say, Dr. Besh, what made you, order this or order that for this patient? And he would be, so gracious to take a few minutes just to answer it. Dr. Park was really good with that. Even Dr. Smith, I enjoyed talking to him. Like I really, Dr. Reddy. Oh, I'm naming everybody now, but we just really always had a really
Yeah.
good team.
Well, that's the kind of doctors that I was looking to hire, those kind of positions. Yes. I don't know, there's a whole, medicine has changed a lot now, but it was a family affair then, but hopefully we can get back to that.
Tashika says, as a physician, what's the easiest way for your staff to tell you need a vacation? LOL. The doctor I work for works every day except Sunday. It's a private practice, just her.
Well, it's an individual thing. Is the way this particular doctor has set their practice up. And the smaller the practice, the harder you have to work. That's why people join big groups. And I probably came along at that state of practice where a doctor was the only one on call for the group, and with cardiology, that's 24/7. I mean, I worked when I was by myself for 2 years. I 24/7 on call, and that's no way to live. So, but that doctor might need to join a bigger group and get her a partner. So.
Get her some time off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share your slides. So Dr. Francis has a few slides that he's going to share, guys. I'm going to just share my screen here. Let's see. Okay, and let me know once you can see it, Dr. Francis.
Let's see.
I can make it bigger. Let me see. Okay, and just let me know when you want. Let me go to the.
Nothing's coming. I can't see anything right now.
Oh, can you see it?
No. Yes.
Oh, you can see it. Okay.
Yeah. And this guy, this is the doctor that he was a doctor of medicine of music who discovered me and asked what did we bring to Southern University, and I had my guitar, and he's the one who my guitar had a crack in it. So he went downtown and bought me a brand new guitar and started me out as a folk singer. Next slide.
Okay.
Dr. Huel D. Perkins, and I'll cover him also in the book, talk about him. And this is a slide that I was a graduate student at William & Mary, and I used to go over to the First Baptist Church and play nursery rhymes for these kids. And this little guy here, I don't know what happened to him, but I wondered if he became a doctor or a guitar player, because he was quite interested. And I love this picture, and hopefully that'll end up in my book. Next slide.
Yes, I love that.
And here I'm singing on the streets of colonial Williamsburg. So I was a street musician back then, raising some money so I could eat and buy some books. But I look at that suit I had on. This was amazing. But this was the late '60s. You could dress like it. Notice I had my afro. Next slide.
Okay.
But I wanted to show.
Hey, Stacy.
Okay. All right. This was the one I left. I was a street musician in Williamsburg, colonial Williamsburg, playing on the street. You can see I got a nice little crowd here, and I don't know where my bucket is, but the tax somewhere to put some money. Next slide.
Okay.
And this is at Mount Vernon Hospital. I started Mount Vernon Cardiologist. So it's God, I can't think of all this hair I had, and it was all black too. Next slide. And I was still performing. So here I'm down in Alexandria, singing at a country bar, and people, doing a Texas two-step and everything. Next slide. And here's where this went. Once I signed the Capitol Records, I was in Essence Magazine, Washington Post, the New York Times, the whole bit, People Magazine. So it was quite a whirlwind, and that's what I was faced with. I got a record contract. Should I stay in the practice or should I go? And this was quite tempting to take that trip.
I bet.
And here's it was the second largest audience, 25,000 people at Fanfare in Nashville, Tennessee, when I opened the show for Capitol Records. And 1993. Next slide. And here's one picture that I'm really grateful. Here's these were 5 Black men in country music in 1994. This is Dobie Gray on the left, Big L Downing. Here's Aaron Neville, Charlie Pride, and myself. So that's like Mount Rushmore of Black country artists.
Wow.
Yeah. And here there's another proud picture, Dr. O'Connor, and I received the Pioneer Award for Life Achievement in Cardiology. So I'm very proud of that picture as well. I think that's all.
Wow. Dr. Francis, I'm so mad because I have let me get us back on the screen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so mad because I feel like I didn't actually I gotta let you go, but I'm gonna end up having you back on again because I didn't ask some of the questions I wanted to ask. I didn't want to hold you too long, but I have really enjoyed talking to you, even despite the technical difficulties I've had. Sorry guys. But Stacy here, she remembered the very beginning when you first started. So I know she has some stories, I'm pretty sure. But I just wanted to remind you again just how proud of you I am for persevering and just getting through everything you've gotten through. Stacy said, yes, we want more.
Well, I'll be happy to come back when I do my book next year. But in the meantime, people can go. I'm on iHeartRadio and Spotify, my music, the Cleve Francis channel there. And you'll give, and I have a Gmail account that if people want to reach me for, other conferences, they can get in touch with me. So I'm still alive, still hanging in there. And I appreciate hearing from all these folks that I spent my life around, and I hope you guys get a chance to read the book next year when it comes out.
Yes, for those of you that missed the beginning, Dr. Francis is writing a book right now, and it's going to be out next spring. So for those of you that want to stay connected to Dr. Francis, his information is in the description box, but I'm going to add more to it. He has an email you can reach him on. And then also, is it clevefrancis.com? I have it in the description box of the video. Clevefrancis.com. I'll type that here because for people watching on Facebook, it's not on Facebook, it's on YouTube. So clevefrancis.com. And then for those of you, if you want to check out his music, as he mentioned, it's on iHeart, it's on Spotify. His videos, just go on YouTube, guys, and look up Cleve Francis, Dr. Cleve Francis, or just Cleve Francis. Really, he will come right up. All of his music videos will come up, so you can check him out there. I'm glad you took time from your busy schedule to.
Well, thank you, Kim, for inviting me. And like I said, I'm very proud of what you've done and what you continue to do. And you're one of the leaders, in this country. And I think people ought to look to you for mentorship to do the same thing you're doing. So I appreciate it. And I'll come back, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of interviews around the country, but this will always be a place I will come back. You just pick up the phone and we've set it up.
You set it up. So if people want to get you for speaking engagements and interviews and things like that, like what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it going to be
that one I gave you, the yahoo.com.
Okay, gotcha. I'll share that.
And also I'm on Facebook, so people can friend me on Facebook so they follow more directly.
He's on Facebook. I tagged you in one of the posts. I'll tag you in the post that I did today. So that way, for those of you that's on Facebook, you can send him a friend request and follow him there. And Dr. Francis, I got one last question for you before you go.
Okay.
What's the legacy that you hope to leave behind in medicine and in music?
Well, in medicine, I would really like to leave a legacy that you can't treat patients you don't know. So you need to know as much as you can know about the patient and empathize with them, their lives, what they go through. And that's kind of what I did in my practice as a physician. In music, I just would like people to know that I sang songs from my heart. I wrote about causes that I believed in. And I was happy to leave, a phono recording that's going to certainly outlive me and will be part of our history. And I've been included in the National Museum of African American History and Culture, so that's there. So hopefully the things that I've done will stick around to influence another generation.
Yes.
But I appreciate all the people that I know now, and it keeps me going. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. And I did forget to mention that, guys. He is featured in the for those of you, some of the people here are from DC and DC. So guys, he is featured in the African American Museum downtown. So make sure you what floor was that? Do you remember? I think it was the fourth
floor. Yes.
The fourth floor. Yep, it's the fourth floor. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. Thank you guys for watching and sticking it out with us. Make sure you guys make sure for those of you that's on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed and you have the notifications on so you're notified the next time I'm live or post a video. You guys be blessed.